Hello and welcome to this Speedadmin Academy webinar about the Study Planner. We're looking forward to going through this with you today, and I hope you are out there ready to watch the webinar here, either a live session. In that case, if you're live, you're welcome to put any questions or comment into the chat. I'm just going to write hello out there. And if you're watching right now, please put in a comment or say hello in the chat so I know you're out there and that you're listening. Throughout the webinar, you're welcome to ask questions, throw in comments or anything that you think is relevant for today's webinar. If there's anything that you're wondering why that is or so on, questions are always super welcome. So I hope you got your cup of coffee or tea and you are ready to go for today's webinar. This is being recorded, so if you miss part of it or if you think it's really nice and want to share it afterwards, you are welcome to do so. We will put it into Speedadmin under support and videos if you're a super user, and otherwise it will also be in our Academy playlist here at YouTube. Yes, but hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Study Planner. And I will just move slides here. The Speedadmin Academy overall, it's not a function webinar as such, but it's where we try to share knowledge or a network. We have a huge network, try to exchange ideas from other services, other music schools or countries, and try to inspire each other across borders and music services. So if you have some good ideas about something that you would like to see here in the Academy that could inspire, you're very welcome to do so. We're normally doing this in English as our network all speak English. Some of the webinars are done in local languages, but as you hear, this is also in English, but actually you can also find the same webinar, in this case, in Danish and Swedish as well. Today we are not having any guests, but I will just highlight that we had in the autumn, we had Knut Morten Korvik. He's a percussion teacher from Molde in Norway, and he has done something called video-based tuition. So he's doing everything through videos in the Study Planner, and we had a really good webinar with him where he spoke about some of the ideas behind this video-based tuition and how he's done some of these really good videos, but also how he uses that in the Study Planner. Based on that, we had a lot of requests to see, could you please do a webinar where you go through the Study Planner, the basic functionalities of how does it work, how are we going to get started with it, and so on. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at why you should use, if you're not already using it, why should you use the Study Planner and spend time on it? How do we do it? I'm going to give you some standard introduction to it, but also a little bit of feedback on how to use it in a good way. And how do you get started, which is actually really simple. And then I'm also going to give you a little look into the future about what is next, the Study Planner version 2, which will be in our Speedadmin Play, which are slowly launching this spring and for most English music services sometime after the summer in the autumn. But let's get started. First of all, why a Study Planner? Well, for the student parents, it's quite obvious that this is a great practice tool. It's actually also where we started out saying, well, we want to have a practice tool that's not the practice handbook. We want that created. And then we found out when it's digital, it's easier to put in different teaching methods or teaching material. So it could be movies, could be recordings, etc. So suddenly it came to just seeing what you need to remember to practice. So it could also actually be content that inspired the students to practice more. And we know what happens if they practice more, they have better progression. With better progression, everybody's happy. Mom and dad at home, the student, of course, really happy, and the teacher as well. So it's all about practicing and getting that progression. And for the practice, for some students, it's difficult with the scores or with the notes that a teacher have written down on a piece of paper. So having it online where you could again use these different materials, video recordings, etc., it can be a much better support in your practice. So it's easy to start practicing every day. It's more easy to get started and get your daily practice in. And it's also easier to do a good practice, to actually practice in a good way, because you can help the student much more in this way. Also, next we saw how this was not just substituting the practice book, but also started creating new teaching methods. I mentioned Knut Morten. You should go see the video. Some of it is in Norwegian, but we also done some sum-ups in English, which are really nice. But he has some really great ideas how to use the video. And video is just something he uses in all his tuition. And we're not saying this is the one way to do it, but it might inspire you to how to develop some of your tuition. And then, of course, a lot of you probably know about the flipped classroom. The flipped classroom, which is where instead of the student coming to you, you tell them everything from the beginning. We flip it. We send them some information first. Let's say they have a new score, a new song we need to learn how to play. We then send them the song in advance, perhaps some score, perhaps a little introduction about playing part of it. And then they come to the first lesson and say, yeah, great, let's try to play the song you've been practicing. So actually we're giving them the building blocks in advance, and then when they come to class, we can actually build the wall together and make it really nice and neat. So we spend time on the more high level things. Instead of creating bricks in the classroom, we use the bricks, because the bricks are done from home with the flipped classroom. And then we could see, of course, COVID had really been something that have started the use of these digital tools. The funny thing is that the first version of StudyPlanner was launched in 2019 in the autumn, and then, as you all know, then spring 2020, suddenly everybody wanted to use the StudyPlanner, and it went nuts. We did a lot of updates on the system, or on StudyPlanner, so it could do different things and more things than previously. But one thing that surprised us a little bit was how much that having this digital platform, how much it actually made the parents much more engaged. So that we suddenly had the parent being able, or the teachers being able to build that bridge to the parents or to the home by them being on screen in live videos, or actually just created some videos that they have shared with the students, or that the teacher have recorded the student in the class playing something. And suddenly we're building a bridge to the parents, and they understand and trust us as teachers much better, but also showing the value, because there's no doubt all the work you do out there, the real value of a music service is, of course, what is happening in the music tuition room, in the classroom. And that value, we really get it displayed. Of course, we do at concerts, etc. But every week, that great value that you create every day, we suddenly get a channel where the parents can actually see and interact, see what's going on, and experience that huge value that you're creating for the students. For the teachers or for the schools, and for you as teachers, how to plan and structure your teaching material gets to be much better, because suddenly you now have a place where you can put it into a good order. You can share all your material, and you can do different plans, what we call study plans as well. You can prepare overall, of course, but also the everyday preparing from week to week is much easier, because it's right there. You can do notes. You can make sure you take things from your library, and again, you put these library lessons into different teaching study plans. We'll show that in the study planner in a second. But this just helps you structure and plan your whole tuition, and hopefully makes it more fun. I remember back in the days when I was carrying a huge suitcase with scores and books, because I never knew, well, what would the students be wanting to play today. So I just brought a lot of stuff every time, and I was dragging around with this huge suitcase. I think a lot of you are perhaps still experiencing that. Some of you might put a lot of your things already now digitally, but where to save it in a good way where you keep control of it, and where you can easily share it without the students going to an unsecure or dodgy place, or having to download another app or something. Not necessarily with Speedadmin. There they have the access, and they have access to all of it. Accessibility. So for those students that might have some special needs, they might be able to attend music tuition if it's online, or if sometimes it's online, the hybrid. So we're not saying with the study planner that means that you can now do all your tuition online. On the contrary, we're still think that meeting the students face to face in the classroom is the most important thing. But for some students, you can break down some barriers for them and actually make sure that they can actually attend the tuition because they have either some of the homework here, or with the flipped classroom, they feel more secure because they know what they're going to be working on in advance and so on. Less cancellations. You might have some students coughing, but they could actually attend the lesson. Well, then you could do it online. But again, also, it doesn't have to be only that we're talking about on camera or online meetings. Also, it could be, well, I'm not going to be able to attend, so I do an agreement with my leader or my manager that I'm going to create a new study for every student. So in their time, for the next time, they will go in and actually work with that. So I can create some videos or content and use that as a teaching, as a lesson, tuition lesson. And of course, all of this dives into that we can actually develop our teaching offers much more and do this hybrid. And I'm going to do a little sneak peek, or I would recommend that you join us in the spring. Later in the spring, we're going to have a webinar. Johan is going to introduce us to a project in Malmö Kulturskole, or art school, where they have done hybrid tuition for guitars. For groups of guitars, etc. So it's going to be, it's a little bit online, it's a little bit on-site. That you can see much more about. It's in a Speedadmin webinar, Academy webinar later this spring. So keep in touch or stay tuned on our newsletters, and you see when that's going to be. That's going to be quite exciting. Looking forward to seeing that myself. So overall, you could say that lots of this is connecting into this SAMR module by Puentedura. And of course, we start here with the substitutes, and that's also where we started, just creating a practice handbook digitally instead of a book, a paper that the dog could eat. But soon we found out that actually technology, we could do more things here with having videos, etc. And this, of course, it's all enchantment. But now we're moving into transformation, because now we can actually start thinking about new ways of working with our tuition. Of course, the flipped classroom, the video-based tuition, etc. And then, as we also see with other apps, not just teaching platform, but I start using and teaching in a completely other way, where we're working with the students in a complete other manner. We're probably not there with the StudyPlanner yet, but we are on the way, and we're definitely at the modification level right now, where you can start creating and developing your tuition offers, as with having the digital tool there right at hand. So of course, why our StudyPlanner? Well, first of all, data security. You are sure about the data security when it's at Speedadmin. It's all covered. You don't have to worry about data being placed outside of EU. It stays in a secure way that's been approved. And also, if you send a link to a student with a YouTube, suddenly you're actually giving them that the YouTube will take information from that student, and will also try to get the student to watch all kind of other stuff. We're keeping the students in a safe environment by using their StudyPlanner. It's also very, very simple. This is especially for the parents and the students. They don't have to have a login to Speedadmin to see their timetable, and also to Zoom or Teams or Google Classroom or whatever you're using. It's one login, and they have everything there. And for the students, when logged into the mobile app, I'll talk briefly about the mobile app later, but when logged into the mobile app, then they are always logged in. They just need to open up the app, and then they have access to a timetable and a quick link to their StudyPlanner. And then, of course, the transparency, not least. Transparency is a key element, we think, in a digital transformation that we're in. So one of the key things by having a digital system is that suddenly now parents can also see what's going on, if we mentioned before, but also your managers might have a view into, well, what are you actually working with? It's not checking you, but having your back, and can help and support you in the development of your tuition. And if you have substitutes coming in, the substitute would actually automatically get access to your StudyPlanner for that specific week. They could put in comments, or they can add in material that they have been working on, or they can see what you have been giving the student, what kind of lessons or activities you've been asked them to teach. And of course, if you don't want substitutes to have that access, that's something that your super users can ensure that they won't have. But we think it is important. And of course, this transparency can often be a little bit intimidating, but with a little bit of trust, it is really a key in the whole digital transformation. Now, let's get into the study planner. I have a quick picture here of just trying to put out the different elements in the system. And of course, we have the overview here of activities which teachers and students attend. Now, this is just one-to-one lesson, but we could have several students in the same, if it's a group, or several teachers. And student and teacher seem more or less the same. I'll show you that later. But what's important to understand that the functionalities here are only the teachers assigned that can do that, where the student, well, they can see everything that's put in, and you can also control if the student/parent can write in the chat back and forth. So the overview of the class, then you have the actual lessons, which is really the content of this teaching room, as I would like to call it. Then there are some functionalities to add these lessons in, and also study plan, as I mentioned, which is actually just a collection of studies. We'll come back to that. There are a couple of tools here in how to order the different lessons or studies that they have, how to order that. And then we have the chat, we have the live video, and you have your notes where you can do internal notes as well. So let's dive into Speedadmin and have a look at it in live session. So now I am logged in as I'm Claire today, the teacher Claire. And here I can see whatever is in my timetable. So look at my timetable. Let's move forward a little bit. Whatever is here in my timetable will also be in my study planner. So when I have a new student that's placed into my calendar, into my timetable, then they're automatically straight away going to be in here in my study planner as well. So a couple of things, we can see the students here in a chronological order, the next upcoming students first, of course, and by clicking their name or just a bracket overall, I get into the teaching room of the students. So LFS ukulele activities, and here we can open up the different lessons. We'll come back to that. But let's just go back to the overview for a sec. I could also, if I don't want a chronicle order, I can go to show all, and then I can actually start searching here. And then I can see how it comes up, and I can then see, oh, that's Paul. Oh, there is Elefa. Elefaba. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But here I have all the different courses or that I teach. So I can open up, for example, drum schools. Maximus. I want to work with Maximus and his teaching room right now. So that's another way of finding the students here in the flow. That's show all courses or the chronicle order. Then you have here where you can go and you edit your student or your study library. So what I see here is all the studies that I've created over time and added into my study library. Now, this is something that we're going to be updating in the new Speedadmin play that you'll see a little bit later. But here it can be quite overwhelming finding things. So it's quite important because if you can imagine, if I got 40 different lessons created, it can be difficult finding if they're all called lesson 1, lesson 2, etc., or awesome guitar. So it's important that when you have and create your title, that you have something put in there. Now, your guitar teacher can say, oh my goodness, you can't learn how to play guitar in 10 days. And you're absolutely right. And that's why you want to use the study planner. So students are not using YouTube, but they're using the music service and your abilities to learn how to play music. So, and here you can, of course, also search. So say, well, I just want to search for something with drums. And there's a lesson 1 and a lesson 2. They're both quite boring, but I can see, oh, I've got some here where we added a file. I was actually playing some drums there. Great. If I want to edit some of this, is a lesson 1, buy some sticks. Well, that's fine enough, but let's put a little bit more meat on the bone here. So if I edit the lesson, or hold on, if I'm going in here to any of these students' room and click New Study, that's where, or I can also just close this one and look at the current ones and say edit it in here. It's more or less the same thing. But there's a big difference. As soon as I added a lesson into a room here, it has its own life. So if I start editing in this, what's it? Take another one. Not this one. Lesson 1 for drums, where it says buy some sticks. If I edit it in it here, I'm only editing in this one for Elefa Trup. that's it. So I click edit and I start doing something. It's only in this one. I could, when I click save, not just click save in this room, but also save and then add it as a new copy into my library. But then I'm just creating new ones and a new one and a new one. So it's just going to be a mess here in my study library. So when you want to do some edits overall for your how you're going to use this moving forward, then you need to edit in your library. That's the best way to do it. Or you edit in there and then save it into your library and get rid of the old one. Also, if I edit here in my library, it's not going to update the studies called the same thing, but that have already been given to different students. It's only updating how I'm going to use it in the future. So again, lesson being assigned into a study room with a student, of course, then it lives its own life. It's a copy, it's a full copy, and all editing in it will only be there. And all editing that I do on the masters, which is this one in my library, will not kick down to that one that I've added in. It also makes it much more flexible. So it makes sense while we've done it this way. Hopefully you also think the same way. Now, buy some sticks. That's a little bit sad. Let's work on that one later. But just so you can see, you can edit your lessons. You can add new ones, create new ones here that you put into directly to your library. And then you can start using it afterwards, either directly as a student or next to study plan library. So study plan is a collection. So here I created a study plan called Drum Beginners because I know every student that starts with me have a lesson 1 called lesson 1 buy some sticks. Then they have number 2, lesson 2. Now we're ready to play. And there I've already added in some pictures and a video, etc. And now I might want to have in this Drum Beginner study plan I created. Let's create a lesson 3. So I'm going to put lesson 3, or I could add from my study library. See, do I have any here that are actually already called drums 3? Let's search. Drums, no, it's lesson 1 only and lesson 2. There's no lesson 3 yet. So I need to go in and actually create it as I was starting to do. Again, now I'm creating this as a master that I can assign to somebody later on. Lesson 3. Now, and here we have a title. The title, again, remember, make it so it's very easy to find again. Here, lesson 3, I should probably write something about drums. Perhaps I should write something about shuffle, if that's what we're going to start working with. Now, we will be working on shuffling. Good. Now, this is text. Don't write a whole long novel here because nobody's really going to read it properly. It is nice to have some text, but if you look at a good practice book, you don't have lots of text in it. It's not written like a novel. It's more pictures, it's bullet points, perhaps it's boxes, etc. Colors, and so on. Now we can try to see if we can replicate a little bit. So I could use things like, okay, well, I'm going to make this one shuffling red. I'm going to make it all a little bit bigger, perhaps, because it's a headline. And then I'm actually going to start using some bullet points to say, first, count in 3. Second, and I already wrote 2. So I should probably just write count in 3. Make it simple, make it now nice. And then whatever you would write here. And again, you can use different sizes, colors, the different format you can change as you want to. And again, you could also do it a little bit more interesting and use smileys. Whatever works and will make the student look more and be more aware of what you have put in. Whatever works of these things. You know better than I do probably, but test it out, see what works and what doesn't work. I know bullet points, I know colors, and I know the different formatting is good ways of working with it, and I know everybody likes smileys. And then of course you have the option to also work with HTML if you're good at that. So there are that option to make it even nicer if you like to. Then I can add links. Now links is pretty important when we do different links. Perhaps I want to find a YouTube video about playing. I'm just going to find learn to play drum set shuffle. There are so many good things out there, or you have created some great things yourself. Again, If we just send them a link, then quickly they're going to be convinced by this guy. Say, oh, quickly learn how to play piano in 2 minutes, yada, yada, yada. That's not what I want, but I know that this one, the Shuffle Groove, this guy, he's made a really nice one. Again, there's a commercial. We don't want to send the parents or them a link to his commercial. So instead, I'm taking this one and I'm grabbing this one and I'm then copying the video URL. I can also say, well, I know that they're not saying anything interesting before here at this point, so then right click and click and then say copy video URL at the current time. So if I do that, I'm actually going to go here to Study Library and throw that in and say shuffle. I'm just going to call that. Add that in. Now, this way, if we save this now, we can see that it's going to just embed the YouTube. Of course, they can still click here, and then I'm going to get all the silly commercials. And just when saying about commercials, you can see here I've been looking a lot about drums, but how informing that they're going to teach me about women underwear. I'm not sure what they're trying to say here. But again, that's why it's so important not just sending YouTube clips, but making sure that you actually embed it, using it in a good way, so we keep the students watching the video and not looking at purple bunnies or whatever is worse in YouTube. There are so much good stuff out there, and there are so much crap. So here, we've now done this. I'm just going to edit because I also have a score in here. So I can also attach files. So links is one thing. I can also attach files. And here, I've actually got a little score line there that I like to use. And then we can click save. Let's see how that score comes up. Then it's actually just nice and neat. I can open it up, and I've put this in as a picture. So it just opens up directly. I don't have to open it in a separate tab. I can open it in a separate tab if I want to, but I don't have to. I can also in my tablet or my telephone, when I'm sharing this with students, they can just click it and it opens up. Nice and neat. So now I'm actually happy with this study, and of course you should probably spend a little bit more time on it. I just threw something together. I want to reorder it, so there's a functionality here. Click that button, put that down there as number 3, and now that is part. Now I have 3 lessons in my study planner called Drum Beginner, and I know all my drum students need to have these 3 lessons. So from here, assign, I can actually go to my drum set. I can see I got 4 students, and they all need it. They need these, so I'm just going to say add. Throw it in there, and then do we want, because some of them might be double, so you say, well, I need to replace it or merge them together, or yeah, we're just going to merge together. So now it's out there with those students. It can't be easier than that. If any of you make some good study plans here, it's so easy. This could be one playing how to play samba, or with and there you can have different lessons in it, or one about the beginner is obvious, or in intermediate, or play jazz, or it could be how to learn to play this song, but actually with there's 3 different lessons to get into playing that song. Overall, I am just going to run to as a show all courses. We're going to take Maximus because that's the one that I want to work with. Maximus. Now I'm into this. I can see how he's got lesson 3, 2, 1. Again, I can reorder these things if I want to in this room. Again, I got the information. I can easily, by the way, go to the next student or the student before, or ensemble. It's a student or ensemble. So go back and forth here. It's an easy way to navigate chronicle order again. Got the information there. I got the teachers again. We could be several teachers teaching the student if it was a group. I can here also create a study from beginning as I did before. Again, or I could add it from my library if I know that I have something in my library that I want to add to this specific student. Or I could add a study plan. I already did that because I assigned it from the study plan page, but here I could also do it. I have all these things, and right now they're all up as the status, and that's quite important. We have a status here called upcoming. Now lesson 3 is something we're going to be working on now. So I'm going to mark that because then it's going to be quite clear. So, and then there's a couple of things here. This one is done, and that's one here. I'm just going to hide that because these are things that I don't want the students to see. So you got these statuses: upcoming, student know we're going to be working on that soon. Now, student, it comes up red. Student know we're done working on it right now. Done. You've done it. It's now in your library, but you can work on with it. And then you've got extra here, which it will be hidden. So the student will never be able to filter those out that are hidden. Up here you have a filter button, and there you can go and say, I don't want those that are done and extra. I just need those that are upcoming or that we're working on now. That you can always change at any time. The student can do the same thing, but they can never choose to see what's called extra hidden. Reorder is just dragging and dropping the order that you want the different practice in. And save as if you want to put this in, if you want to say, oh, this is actually really nice, I want to create a study plan based on this student's studies. So I built this over time with this student, it's really good. I'm going to create a study plan based on this. That's another. So there's different ways to create or send studies into a room like this. Then we also have here for the now we're going to be working with the shuffle one. Then I can actually just click here on the chat button. That creates a tag up there to say, remember to work on this for next lesson. Send it off. And for Maximus, it's actually okay that Maximus or his parents will be answering me, so I can mark that it's two-way chat. Super users in your setup can set up that you get a notification if you receive a chat notification either here on your notification globe or a notification through an email. That's something super users can set up in the notification setup under settings. So if when the student hopefully logs in, get a notification, oh, I have a new study, I have a new chat message. They come in here and they click the link here. Oh, it opens up automatically. Great, and then they can start working on it. They can't edit, delete all of this. That's because I'm still in as a teacher. Now, on here, we also have the live video. There are costs to using the live video in the current Speedadmin. It will not be in the Speedadmin Play. It's going to be for free. So that's another nice thing about Speedadmin Play, that we're going to have the live video incorporate, and you can use it as much as you want to. So instead of using Teams or something else, easy access. That's what it's all about. You might not have this one activated in your music service at the moment because it's something that is an extra cost at the moment. Then you got your notes section where you can add in notes, where it's something where I'm writing to myself actually. So great lesson, student left hand is not good. Be aware of yada 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 something. I can choose to share this with super users, which I would always recommend. I could also share it with other teachers in this case, or even with the students. But the student, I think I'll put the comments over here or in the chat. This is more from me, so I'm just going to put it in by clicking the button there. And now I have a comment that I, Claire, an hour ago, or just around, created a note called "Great lesson, student left hand is not good. Be aware of it." Yada yada yada. And I can edit that in any time. But just then quickly, when I prepare for next week, I quickly have these notes when running through. I just go through, see the notes. Yeah, I need to do that with this student. Go to the next student. Oh, I got these notes. I'm going to do yada yada. And then we actually handle it in a really good way. And it's easy to prepare and remember things from week to week. So that was actually all the functionalities in this study planner. Easy to use. Maximus. Let's try to be the student for a second. Logging in as the student. The student would log in, either in the web version or the mobile app. And I would recommend again the mobile app because it's easy, quick access. Study plan here in the web version, they can see their score or their sketch and say, okay, this is where my tuition. I'm going to go into my lesson there, and I can only see those that have been filtered. Oh, I also want to see those that are done. Can I do that? Yeah, I would like that. Oh, won't let me. There we go. And I can actually see what we have paid. Oh, we buy a stick. Yeah, that's fine. So they can see all of this. They can also put a question in. So how do you play bar 5? Send that in. So this is something I'm sending to the teachers now. And then as a teacher, Claire would be notified that there's a chat message. Again, you need to put it up the rules of how and often do you answer if you allow this two-way chat, etc. You could also ask the student to actually do a recording of when they're done with the lesson and send it to you by attaching a file. So they can do that here, or they can also do that directly from the mobile app. As you can see, live video, if you start it up, you can do that. Notes they couldn't see because I haven't shared anything with them. But overall, they have the same picture. A little funny thing here with the archive if this teacher had been, or this student, sorry, had been active in other school years, they could see there would be a box here for other school years, and they could see all the things that they have been worked on in previous school years, and also with previous or other courses than the drums. So it's actually also a full archive of what have we, or I as a student, what I've been working with. It's all there. It's like I have my teaching book digitally staying all the time in my archive. It also always follows me, and I can use it whenever I want to. Going back in time, it's fun to go back and play something that we played previously, if it's a song or it's a -1 that's been added or something. I'm just missing the score and I find it there. So that they can find, that the students can find in the archive if you want them to. Again, I'm going to mention the app. If you're in doubt with the app, how it works, here under the user guides, if you go in and you search for app, then you find some really good videos that walks through how the parents can use the app and what they see, and students of course, and how the teachers use the app in a great way. And I say attendance, super easy, but not least StudyPlanner and access to the StudyPlanner is so easy from the mobile app. So I would really recommend that you push perhaps even in the music service, make sure that there's a QR code or a link to download the app to iOS or Android already in their first email of when they have signed up and registered with you. So this is the StudyPlanner. That was the quick walkthrough on how to use it. I hope that makes sense and you got some good tips. It's really just getting in there, trying to put some of your material in there, upload it, and then share thoughts with your colleagues. That's one of the best ways to get started. If you have this in your teacher meetings, or you create a forum where you can discuss, have you been using that or this, or how do you use the StudyPlanner? Be inspired by each other. And there's so many things you can, MuseScore files can be uploaded, so you got the video playing, following the score. There's so many different functionalities and things that can be linked in, and a good way of what works with the student and what does not work so well. So that is the best way of getting started, sharing good ideas with your colleagues. Now, what will the future bring of the StudyPlanner? The version 2 in the Speedadmin Play, and we're already over time, so just going to quickly run through that, and it's also just a very quick sneak peek. And nothing has been fully decided, so you need to wait until we go live with Speedadmin Play to see the actual final, where do we end. But the first, most important thing is that you're going to be able to share content with other schools from other countries as well. So you might want to share material. Right now, today, you got your material that you created in your library, but now you can also share, choosing, well, this media or this StudyPlanner or this study. I want to share that with other teachers in my school or in my country or overall with Speedadmin, with any country. So you might, if you're a violin teacher, find some really nice violin lessons written by a Norwegian teacher from way north, or from a Swiss teacher in the mountains of Switzerland, or a Danish one in Copenhagen, who knows. So that's the whole idea of creating this community where you can share your content, your videos, recordings, etc., and good ideas of how to use the digital tools. And by sharing this material, we have covered the rights issues, so don't worry about that. Of course, if it's a score, you have to have a right to share the score or the notes. But the video, sound, etc., that we have covered the rights for, so you can freely share that in a secure manner. And of course, also, we've done it more intuitive and with a little bit more functionalities. We've been inspired by other platforms like Facebook, etc. So when you do, for example, you'll do more posts and then you can do comments instead of having a chat. So the comments there, you can use that as a chat, or you can create a new post, which is actually just a message, and then there could be comments on that message. You still got your playlist or your study plan, and you still got, or you will have attendance. You can do attendance as a teacher within the study plan. So if this is a group, I can quickly, in my study planner, do attendance. So, and you can have several playlists, by the way, and it's easy today when you add a study planner, then it's just mixed up. But now you can actually see we did part 1 of the study planner, part 2, part 3 of the study planner, and so on. And you can change in the content before you start sharing it. So you don't have to do these stages, say, well, this is hidden. They say, now I'm going to do week 2 and share it. So there are some new things there. Most important, media library. We're going to make sure that all your media, your studies, your study plans, but also every single media that you uploaded will be in a good manner. Will be in a good overview, chronicle order, but also with some tags, or with some title and composer you can search on. So it's not going to be that overwhelming hard way to find things. And it's easier for you to find your media in this media library and add it into different studies, or actually download it if you want to. And you can also mark these things and put them into our community content, again, that's where you have media that you want to share with others out there. Media library, super important. And then that simple, easy, intuitive access, where it's not a menu point above a lot of other menu point, but it's very clear. It's going to be here where you can go into your study planner with a clear logo. Also in the mobile app, very, very easy to access directly from the first page into your study planner. So, and you can see this is much more appealing design for parent and students. It's not going to 100% look like this perhaps, but very close. And if you've had a look at our study plan or our new Speedadmin Play, you'll see that this part is actually already more or less there in this design. So that's quite cool. Well, you've all been very quiet out there today, so I hope you're happy and that you've gotten some good ideas, tips and tricks to how to use the study planner, why to use it, and how to get started with it. If there's any questions or good ideas for our study planner, please write us at any time, and we will make sure that we do our best to fulfill your needs and at least give you a good answer back. If no questions, there's no questions in the chat, so either you've fallen asleep or you're all happy. I hope it's the last one, and then I'm just going to say thank you so much, everybody, for attending. Appreciate your time, and hope you got a little bit inspired. Bye.